Hello and welcome everyone to Grid Vision, and definitely happy to be here this lovely Sunday afternoon as we're going to be going Global Truck Series racing here at the Tricky Triangle. And of course, that is Pocono Raceway, a 2.5-mile racetrack that is full of trickiness, that is for sure. It is a driver's track through and through. 3 distinct corners from 3 distinct race tracks here. Definitely excited to see what we have in store. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. Of course, I have Austin Edstrom going to be my co-commentator here this fine afternoon. Of course, Austin Derbyshire down behind the cameras. How you doing tonight, Austin? You doing all right?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm looking forward to some good Pocono racing here today. We got a good, strong field here of about 22 trucks, my bad. Looking forward to this tricky triangle. 3 different corners on, 3 different points of the racetrack with 3 different length straightaways. It's a tough challenge for the drivers here today, but I'm looking forward to see who figures it out the best.
100%. Of course, this is the David Blasier Memorial. I do have to mention it. It looks like it's about 102 degrees on the track right now. And you mentioned 3 distinct corners. That's kind of the big thing about this racetrack is, of course, I do believe one of the turns is from Trenton, 1 turn is from the Milwaukee Mile, and 1 turn is from Indianapolis. So that's kind of this track is literally an amalgamation of 3 different tracks, and that makes it's almost like I always reference Darlington whenever I'm talking about anything, of course, because I'm from Darlington, but it's like every time you go to a track like this, it's hard to set up for 1 corner. A lot of times you're sacrificing in 1 corner when you're setting up a car, so we'll have to see how these guys tackle that. Let's take a look at the virtual points here for the David Blasier Memorial here. Chad McGinley has taken the points lead from Dale Brooks after his good finish last week. Of course, Stephen Hayes also jumps up in front of Dale Brooks. I do believe they are now separated by about 37 points at the moment. Dale Brooks, of course, is now back in 3rd. Ricky Hudgens is in 4th place. Mark Royce is in 5th. Jeff Weimer is in 6th place. Steve Gerber, 7th. Michael Hayes is in 8th. Bobby Mantle, 9th place. And David Holsey rounds out the top 10 right now in points. Of course, and it looks like I do believe we're going to be talking in a moment to Michael Lester whenever he completes his qualifying effort. And I do believe I think he is in the midst of that at the moment. So when we get a chance, we will definitely chat with him. But definitely going to be a tough track today, Austin. But we see a very big discrepancy as well between the lap times between these guys. I don't have a lot of experience with the trucks here at this racetrack, but I have driven the next gen, and it was quite tricky there as well.
Yeah, I mean this track is just a complete challenge for everybody. 3 different corners. Turn 1, you've got to get such a deep entry. It's you kind of think slow in, fast out because of how long the straightaways are. But in all seriousness, you've got to be fast as hell in the middle of the corners too. You've got to carry a lot of speed through most of these corners. Turn 2's a nice flat, speedy corner, and even though that's the shortest straightaway after it, you have to be absolutely on it coming out of that corner so you can get a good run down to turn 3. The exit of every single one of these corners, especially on restarts, is going to get tight, especially towards the end of this race. I ran NIS on Thursday, and just about every issue seemed to be on corner exit. People would just get too wide. The guy on the bottom would get just a little tight, trying to get everything so that they could get a good run down the main straightaway and coming out of turn 1. And it would just get crazy tight out of the corners and accidents galore. So I'm expecting kind of more of the same here today. This track is just so difficult. It causes so many issues for so many drivers. So I'm really interested to see how they handle coming out of turn 1 on lap 1.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think, going to be the key. Is it's almost like turn 1 at a road course. It's gonna be kind of hairy. It's gonna be hairy, and we also could see some issues coming out of 2. 2 is the scariest corner, I'd say, on this racetrack. But it looks like we do have the grid set for today's action. And of course, looks like Michael Hayes going to be starting up on the pole here for this race. And look at that, brothers starting 1-2. Stephen Hayes in second. David Holsey, of course, qualifies in third place. David Holsey's been a really good qualifier here as of late. Fourth place, Chad McGinley. Fifth, Bobby Mantle. He has been on a roll here lately with a lot of top 5s recently. Sixth place, DJ Honeycutt. Seventh, Steve Gerber. Eighth, Don Blasier. Ninth, Austin McGill. He's been on a complete tear when it comes to winning races. And rounding out the top 10, Mark Royce.
11th place, we've got Justin LeBlanc. 12th, EJ Luna. 13th is going to be Daniel Ott. 14th, Matthew Escalara. 15th, Ricky Hudges II. 16th, Steve Knight. 17th, Michael Lester Sr. 18th, Ron Harrington. 19th, Joshua Slade. 20th, Kenny Heath. And our final row today, 21st, Ron Holmes. And 22nd, Dale Brooks, making his comeback after a couple weeks off.
All right, and that is the field. The starting grid top to bottom, and I do believe we are now joined by Michael Lester. Michael, you have the floor.
Thank you, guys. Brian, Austin. Sorry, I haven't got the new guy's name down, but I'm pretty sure I will. Earlier this week, we received from one of our drivers that a member of his family, David Blasier, his brother of Don Blasier, passed away all of a sudden on Monday. He's been a big supporter of this team or of this league. He watches every race, and we want to give our heartfelt condolences to the Blasier family. Here today, we're going to tribute to him. Don Blasier is going to do a lap. Sorry, he's going to do a lap around the track up there in the lead. And pay tribute to his brother, and we all would like to just say that our hearts and prayers and everything goes out to the Blasier family.
Yeah, definitely a tough deal there for Don, and we hate that for sure, and glad to see that he was still able to come in and show up for the race. Good qualifying effort for him as well, and we'll definitely give it a lap of silence while he does lead the field here. Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate y'all bearing with us, and thank you for observing that lamp of silence there for the recently departed David Blasier. And of course, our hearts go out to Don Blasier and his family. It's got to be tough for sure, but it looks like he's going to be falling right back into his position, back in 8th position. Of course, Michael Hayes going to be starting from the pole here. Pace car lights are out. Time to get some racing going here on Sunday in the Global Racing Truck Series. Of course, I believe we're going to have some racing, or should I say NASCAR is going to be having some racing here very soon at Pocono as well. So this is definitely a good way to get yourself hyped up for the actual race, wouldn't you say, Austin?
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to today's race, both of them. We've had some really good races here in the past for the Global Racing Truck Series, so I'm really looking forward to it. As commentators, we're really not supposed to be cheering for somebody, but I'm sure we're all cheering for Don Blasier today to have a great run, and, he's only qualified 2/10 off the pole, so I'm really interested to see what he can do today and see if he can put on a show for us.
Yeah, I definitely think he will for sure. Of course, as the pace truck gets prepared to take that left turn down pit road, and there it goes. And it'll be a short way to the Geico restart zone, and the green flag is out for the first time here today in Global Racing Series competition. Side by side, down the front stretch, no one really getting the advantage here. This is a draft track. It's almost a super speedway, or pretty much it is a super speedway, but with, of course, almost like road course-like turns. But it looks like Michael Hayes is going to lead on the exit at turn 1. And it looks like we pretty much cleanly get out of turn 1. This is kind of shocking. I did not expect that. But here comes David Holsey trying to make something happen there. He's up to 4th right now, trying to go side by side with DJ Honeycutt. Of course, Honeycutt we have not seen in quite a while. Always has been one that has been known to get top 5s and win races. So watch out for that 15.
Yeah, Chad McGinley, though, he got a great run off at the top side of turn 1, makes a great move down to the bottom into turn 2, the tunnel turn, and he's going to hold the bottom through all the way 3 and 4. We're going to see if Michael Hayes can hold that outside and keep the momentum on the outside. You really want that outside line coming down the front stretch, getting the momentum off of turn 3, keeping that draft all the way down the main straightaway. So it looks like they're going to be just about side by side going into turn 1. We'll see how hard Chad McGinley side drafts before they get to the corner.
Yeah, that's the thing about this racetrack. I mean, especially I think turn 3, like you said, you kind of want to be a little bit higher. If you're that higher car, you're going to get the long distance in order to build up that momentum down the front stretch. And I think that's what Chad McGinley was definitely utilizing there. But it did not seem to help enough to keep, or I should say Michael Hayes was using that. It did not seem to work enough to keep Michael back there, or to actually be able to fight against Chad. My brain just stopped working there for a moment there, ladies and gentlemen. But we do have some battling going on. I see Don Blasier. We talked about him. He's actually battling right now, I do believe, with Mark Royce for that 7th place position. So a lot of stuff going on. You see Steve Gerber, I do believe, battling with Austin McGill. McGill, I do believe, started back in, I think, 9th or 10th. Has now worked his way up into the top 5 already.
Yeah, and you can see we're mostly single-filed out. You really... The side-by-side battles, you kind of have to be a little bit strategic with here, especially with the long straightaways. If you're side-by-side, you can kind of just lose the draft from the people in front of you, and that can really create a big disadvantage throughout the rest of the race. You really want to just kind of keep tabs with the leaders, just be a part of the main pack. The top 2 have kind of started pulling away a little bit. Already have about 5/10 of a second gap between 2nd and 3rd. So 3rd's not really getting quite as much draft as he would like at this point. So David Holsey in 4th place, his best bet would probably be just to stay tucked in behind 3rd place and push him back up to the lead. But it looks like he's peeking out to the inside in turn 3, and they're going to be side by side coming off of turn 3.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. It's I think it's the temporary things versus the long-term gains. And I think that's what David Holsey's trying to get to the inside of DJ Honeycutt. I do like this idea, though, with Austin McGill pushing him. This is something, you wouldn't expect at a track like this, but because of how big it is and how long these straightaways are, if you got a teammate behind you, you can do that. You can utilize them to kind of push you along to make those passes happen. It looks like McGill almost went side by side there with David Holsey, but still a lot of battling. Don Blasier, still I do believe battling with Mark Royce. Now Justin LeBlanc entering the picture as well. We see a battle, I do believe, for 11th place, Ricky Hudgens and Daniel Ott. So there's battles going all over this place. Of course, Chad McGinley and Michael Hayes, as you mentioned, are now out to about a 2nd gap. And that's the thing about this track, because it's a draft track. They are starting to get to that point to where I do believe draft is not going to be helping those guys that are in third on back. But they are side by side, I do believe, for second first once again.
Yeah, they were side by side for a moment. Chad ended up getting a really good run off of the exit of turn 3 and was able to clear him back. But if I were these guys, I'd be a little worried. They've got Austin McGill, who started 9th, and he's already up to 3rd after 4 laps. So the side by side battling is probably just going to bring McGill right back into the picture here. It's kind of crazy. He goes from 9th to 3rd right off the bat. I was kind of hopeful seeing him qualify 9th. I was like, oh, maybe he doesn't have the speed this week. But it seems I was wrong already. He made a hell of a move into turn 2 on David Holsey after he had pushed him past DJ Honeycutt. So he kind of helped his teammate gain a spot and then took it right back and said, nope, that's mine.
Yeah, you don't ever hope against Austin McGill. This guy seems to just be a dynamo this season. I mean, he's been getting win after win. I mean, he's just been taking care of business, dominating races. And that's the thing about it. A lot of times you see guys in the Global Racing Series, they don't really dominate like Austin has been doing. I think he's really been shining, and they're probably going to end up kicking him out of this league because he's been winning too much.
Well, maybe he should intentionally finish second today, but no, I don't think that you're going to see that from him. You know, you're a racer, you want to win, and you know what? If you win enough to get kicked out of a league because you're so good, it is what it is. But you know, he's doing a great job here. He's closed the gap to about 0.9 of a second to the leaders, or to the main leader. They're kind of been playing chicken up here, not really knowing who wants to lead, but Chad McGinley out front right now with Michael Hayes just tucked up right behind him.
Yeah, just looks like Dale Brooks having some internet issues. That's unfortunate. I kind of talked to him a little bit before the broadcast began, and was just saying, you know, hey, how's it going today? He's like, of course, he wasn't here last week. He said he had to miss the race because of work, which was very unfortunate for him, but now internet issues. And he also said that he just got home yesterday, was not really able to work on the setup very much, so they felt like Dirty South just was not on it this week. So hopefully those guys were able to make some adjustments, and hopefully he's able to get back out there. As you see Austin Gill still just running down these two leaders, and we're already seeing there's Dale Brooks right there, but want to lamp down.
Yeah, we've got a good tight battle for the lead heating up with Austin McGill and David Holsey. You know, he's kind of creeping into the picture too with his teammate as they're having to go around the lap truck at Dale Brooks. I'm sure Dale Brooks still has some decent speed, but yeah, with his internet issues, he's just unfortunately well off the pace, 3 laps down to start the race. I kind of want to highlight some people I'm kind of surprised are towards the back half of the field this early. They've been running really good the past couple weeks. That'd be Stephen Hayes and Bobby Mantle. You know, Bobby Mantle is coming off of 2 back-to-back third-place finishes. Stephen Hayes got a little high there coming out of turn 3, just about pounding the fence down. But I'm kind of surprised to see these guys running, you know, 14th, 15th, 16th this early in the race. They've been 2 of our fastest trucks the last 2 weeks on 2 very different racetracks. So I kind of expected them to be able to back it up on a third, and I know we've got a long way to go, but I'm just kind of interested to see that they're so far back at this early point of the race.
Well, I mean, that is kind of really surprising. I mean, Stephen Hayes qualified closer to the front. Didn't he qualify on the front row with his brother Michael? Like, how that is quite nuts to see that Michael Hayes is all the way up here in second, and Stephen Hayes all the way back there in 15th. That's crazy. I don't know what happened that has led to that. If it's just plain speed, but it looks like Dale Brooks still having some internet issues in the midst of the pack. He's following right behind Chad McGinley. I'm sure this is kind of making Michael Hayes a little bit terrified right now because he doesn't know where he's going to come back in at.
Yeah, I'm going to try to go back and see what happened to Stephen Hayes. You know, I'm really surprised to just see him fall.
It
was right off the rip. You know, he's been in about 15th place since lap 2. So I'm going back right now just to see exactly what happened to him. But I'm really surprised to see him off the pace. But you know, as we've mentioned, the leaders here have kind of heated up. And actually, to our point, Stephen Hayes, he qualified second, but unfortunately, I believe he had an EOL. From maybe an incident last week. I think he got into the wall.
Sense.
Yeah, he got into the wall in turn 2 of New Hampshire. And kind of
that makes a lot more sense. So that puts him. Yeah, I mean that's difficult when you go back to the back of the pack and have to fight your way through. I mean, it's easy to stay up in second or first, but when you're back in the pack, this is a track that is so difficult to pass, and you don't want to be dealing with traffic. Because the thing is, draft is so important, and when you're battling with someone, you're going to lose touch of those guys ahead of you, and I think that's what's been going on. One driver that has fallen back from his original position, I think DJ Honeycutt started in third. He's now back to 8th, so he's not handling this well either. Lap times, the guys that are around him, he's very much off the pace compared to them. Last time by 55.9 versus Justin LeBlanc, 55.2, and of course EJ Luna 55.6. So he's off the pace.
Yeah, and to the point on Stephen Hayes earlier, Bobby Mantle also had an EOL from last week, so that's why both of them started in the back. But and to your point, you were talking about how hard it is to pass. You know, the person that's finding out the most is Michael Hayes. You know, he got to the inside of Chad McGinley, maybe just a little bit faster than Chad throughout the whole beginning of this run. But every time that he peaked to the bottom, he just could not get enough run to clear him. And if you cannot clear somebody, they're just going to freight train you back on the outside, and that's exactly what happened. Austin McGill has taken that second spot from him because he got stuck on the inside, and Austin McGill is just continuing his march forward to the front. David Holsey has kind of fallen off the lead group just a little bit, but he's still just about within that draft where I think they're just going to kind of keep him with him, especially with how Austin McGill's running. You know, if he gets side by side with Chad McGinley, it's just going to bring Michael Hayes and David
Yellow flag
Holsey
is
up.
out. I do believe Bobby Mantle losing it, I do believe, off of turn 2, if I'm not mistaken, or turn 1.
Yeah, he got a little bit of help from the 12 truck of Joshua Slade. It wasn't anything malicious, but that's just kind of what you get whenever you get an EOL penalty at these kind of places. You know, you get back in the back, and it just takes one little bump on the wrong part of your truck, and it looks like he's sliding up just in front of Joshua Slade here. Watch him kind of track up out of the corner all naturally. They're just really close. And I want to say he had to get out of it just a little bit, or maybe he did just a little bit before the spin. He drops from 146 to 144 mile an hour right before the spin, so I think maybe he just broke the throttle a little bit, and Joshua Slade wasn't expecting that coming out of the corner, just being tucked up so close behind his right rear, and just minor contact. Bobby Mantle hit the wall a whole hell of a lot harder last week at New Hampshire with the right
and
front.
his truck doesn't look as bad as you would expect it to look. I mean, he kind of hit it twice there, but not too hard, so he might be able to, you know, I think he's going to probably want to go down pit road and get some of that banged out, but I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, he's definitely got a little bit of left front and right front damage, but it is very minor on both sides. Now, the only problem is with Pocono, you know, you really want to have your aero as good as possible, but with the new damage model on the trucks that mimics the next gen, you know, if you get all your damage fixed and you're not down on horsepower, you're really not going to be feeling any damage, especially through the corners. And if he's in the draft with all these other trucks, he's not going to have an issue if he just fixes all that damage. You know, I think maybe he'll learn from Stephen Hayes' mistake last week where, you know, whenever Stephen got in that early accident, he didn't fix the damage right off the bat and went to the back. I think Bobby's just going to get this completely fixed and be completely fine for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I definitely hope that's the case. I know a lot of drivers are going to be using this almost like a competition caution to possibly get some adjustments into the race cars. While we have a moment, let's go ahead and shout out one of our sponsors. And of course, we'll go ahead and shout out Team Watson Racing Setups. Team Watson offers out-of-the-box fast setups that are proven to win no matter what split you're competing in and are trusted by many top-level oval racers. If you're looking to take your iRacing career to the next level, check out TeamWatsonRacing.com. But, you know, who do you think throughout this field, though, would be making adjustments right now, Austin?
Well, Stephen Hayes moved up a couple spots from where he was. But honestly, I would say Stephen Hayes and Bobby Mantle both, you know, they qualified in the top 5 but had those EOL penalties, but they didn't move forward like I would have expected them to over 10 laps. So I would maybe expect one of them to make some type of an adjustment. I did see Stephen Hayes get really tight out of the exit of turn 3 one time. Maybe he's fighting a tight condition in the middle of the corner that he needs to fix up. So we'll see on that. As we see Austin McGill, even whenever he doesn't have to pass somebody on the racetrack, he gets a lightning fast pit stop and gets to pass them all on pit road. So we're going to have Austin McGill here in the lead for the upcoming restart.
Well, we did have someone stay out. Ronald Holmes is still out on the racetrack. He's on older tires, 12-lap old tires, so this is not going to be pretty. The thing is about this, if you're in the next gen, I say this works because I mean the next gen. I did a race yesterday, and I've heard it all week long. Now tires don't seem to matter at Pocono in the next gen machine this week, but the truck, yes, they matter a lot. I mean, we're seeing the lap times right now being a second difference over 12 laps, and you know, of course, Ronald Holmes, his best lap was a 55.3. Not to pick on Ronald, but right now his pace, he's going to be an obstacle. I think this could be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, so he's going to get a decent launch, right? Like, I don't think there's going to be any wheel spin issues. But I mean, with the older tires, I'm not sure how many tire sets they have for this week, so I don't know if this is just a strategy play.
So I do believe it's 4. I do believe down in the pits.
They've got absolutely plenty sets of tires. That's more than NIS for the same length. So I don't really think it's the best strategy play because I don't think that they'll be coming down to take tires every time anyway. But I mean, hey, you never know. It could come down to some green white checkers at the end where he just kind of looks out with the extra set of tires and able to pass a lot of people. So if it's a strategy play and it works out for him, more power to him. But I'm really interested to see this outside line, right? Third place, Chad McGinley, and the entire outside line. That's kind of what I'm most focused on. If Chad can get a good jump and kind of push Ronald all the way down to turn 1 and then dip out 3 wide last second, I kind of think that's his best bet. He wants to put Ronald in that sucker hole and maybe even force him to make a mistake and kind of leave him to get into Austin a little bit. That might be his best case scenario for taking the lead back, but we'll see. I think everybody's going to have to be kind of minding their own business and minding their P's and Q's on this restart just to make sure that they can get out of turn 1 safe with a truck that's on about 12 lap older tires.
Yeah, this is going to be a scary situation. But, I mean, it could, like you said, it could work out well for Ronald. I mean, if he, like you said, later in the race, if it comes down to a green-white checkered or something like that and he's got a set left and no one else does, that could be a huge thing for him to do. I think it's going to be a scary situation for a lot of these drivers though to get around him, especially a lot of times. I don't know if you, like you said, wheel spin. You don't think it's going to be really a factor. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't. I know that we've seen times before where wheel spin has been a big issue, but he's on 12 lap old tires. We'll see how it kind of goes. I think it's going to be more of an issue in turn 1. I don't know if it's going to be an issue when he lowers the gas. I think it's going to be an issue in turn 1. Whenever he goes to get back to the throttle, he's probably going to get tight and go up the track, and that could be a scary situation.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I want to kind of highlight, I didn't think the damage was too bad on Bobby, but he did get lapped in the pits, and Pocono is typically not a place you get lapped in the pits whenever you're fixing damage, so he may have had a little bit more damage than we had originally expected.
Could very well have been the case. It looks like the pace car is getting ready to take that left turn for the second time. Had a pretty good ring run to start the first stint there, and the green flag is back out in the air. Ronald Holmes gets a pretty good restart. Let's see what he does into turn 1. As you can see, Chad McGinley already side drafting Michael Hayes to try to pull him back. And this is going to be the moment of truth. How does Ronald Holmes handle turn 1? And already you can see just the difference in speed right there. And everybody's going to be scrambling to try to get around. He goes to the inside.
I would not go way down there. Those bumps on the bottom, I mean, don't get me wrong, I respect him doing that, but man, I wrecked on the bottom because I was full throttle on that apron. It is so bumpy on the bottom of that apron there. I was worried that he was going to keep the gas in it whenever he got down there, but it looks like he just let the field by. So respectful thing to do from him. He did a great job. Chad McGinley did not get the restart I expected. He went from 3rd to 5th. That outside line from 2nd, 4th, and 6th were just all hooked up in a line and committed to pushing each other. And Chad just went straight backwards to 5th place.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too. I think part of it as well was probably he was nervous about Ronald Holmes. He could have went right when Ronald went and probably stayed right up on him, and it would have been advantageous to him, considering Ronald did that really respectful thing. But I kind of don't blame him. I mean, if I was starting behind Ronald and I didn't know what his plans were, I would definitely be a little worried too.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, like I said, I didn't think the wheel spin was going to be bad. And I mean, Ronald got a great jump. He completely cleared Austin McGill by a couple car lengths. So, I think really Chad could have been a little bit more up on the wheel. But with it being lap 12 out of an 80 lap race or somewhere around there, I'm not really too surprised that Chad did lean back and didn't want to risk anything this early and get that kind of that damage we were talking about with Bobby Mantle. If you do get a little bit of nose damage and you can't come down to fix it for a while, you will just go backwards at this racetrack. There's nothing you can do. It doesn't matter how talented you are. You could be an iRacing pro. You would go backwards in this field if you had a little bit of nose damage that you couldn't fix.
Well, I'll tell you what, Austin McGill seems like his car is handling probably better than everybody's right now, as he just set the fastest lap of the race, and he's in the lead. Clean Air seems to be really helping him out. 54.391 last time by from that driver, as he's starting to pull away from Michael Hayes. Of course, we see Justin LeBlanc right now battling with Joshua Slade. Of course, Slade was involved in an accident a little bit earlier. Of course, did not mean to. But it looks like Slade definitely come here to play, as I do believe he's actually has Ricky Hudgens as well in front of him. And Stephen Hayes because of that caution, I think that helped him out quite a bit as well. He's now up into 11th on the door, banging on the door of the top 10.
Yeah, on that initial restart, he was really kind of peeking to the inside of people. Oh, man, the 85 gets into the wall just behind him. That's Justin LeBlanc, but he's going to be fine. That's going to be basically no damage, if any. But Stephen Hayes, on the first restart, he was kind of peeking to the inside of people, trying to make moves. On this restart, I've kind of seen him stand more to the outside. On the entrance to turn 2, he went to the outside of a couple people. I think he's really just thinking, keeping that momentum up, making sure that he gets the good runs down the straightaway. You know, he's probably going to try to peek to the inside here if he can get a run, but I think he's been a little bit smarter this time around, and, you know, he's worked his way up to 11th place. I think he was running about 15th, 16th before the caution.
And I do believe we have a battle brewing for the lead as well. As you can see, Stephen Hayes, though, he is definitely putting a lot of pressure on Joshua Slade. But here comes Michael Hayes sitting inside in turn 3, and he's going to retake the lead here.
What a job from Michael Hayes. I thought that nobody would have anything for Austin McGill after he took the lead coming off of pit road and then easily taking it back on the restart. But, I mean, he had a hell of a run there coming through turn 1 and turn 2. Able to make the move back. Let's see if Austin McGill comes back on him. Maybe just shoves him into the corner just a little faster than he wants to go. Just putting him off a little bit. Makes Michael Hayes miss the bottom by just a little bit. But on these early tires, I think Hayes is going to get good enough run down the backstretch to hang on to it. But McGill does have that draft to help him back out.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind he might be fine with sitting behind Michael Hayes as well, because I mean that's going to allow him to save fuel, which we haven't really talked about the fuel here today. Of course, I do believe the fuel window is about 28 to 29 laps. So you know I think he's going to want to try to save a little bit of gas as well, just considering I mean we still have a long way to the end of this race. I know DJ Honeycutt, he struggled a little bit on that first stint. It looks like he's got his truck handling right. He's now back up into 3rd place. I know he was followed back to 8th before that caution flag. Mark Royce, another driver, is doing really well right now, up to 4th place. I know he struggled a little bit over the last couple weeks. EJ Luna as well, he's up to 6th. We got a lot of movers right now in this race. I know Steve Gerber, he was up in, I do believe, the top 10. He now finds himself at 13th, so the opposite of that is true for him. Moving in the wrong direction. I think he actually lost position on pit road.
Yeah, looking at the results tab on iRacing, I mean, there's a big variation between just about everybody from where they started to where they're running right now. The only people that don't have a big variation are the leader, who started first and is running first. Chad McGinley started 4th, he's running 5th. And Justin LeBlanc, who started 11th, who's running 12th. That's about it throughout the field. In the top 15, that's kind of close to where they started. Everybody else has either moved up a good few positions or moved back. So I'm kind of interested to see how many comers and goers we have throughout the day.
Yeah, and already we're seeing lap time starting to fall off here. But it does look like Michael Hayes is starting to pull away on Austin McGill at the moment. We're starting to see the gap starting to grow as well throughout the racetrack. Of course, from 1st back to 18th is 9.7 seconds. Of course, that 18th position being Ronald Holmes. Or, I'm sorry, 19th is actually Ronald Holmes. So some guys are still struggling at this racetrack. And you know, you can kind of probably speak on to the effect about how important it is to be, I don't know, just consistent at a track like this. This track always keeps you on your toes. And I think you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, Austin.
Yeah, this track has honestly probably one of the highest risk versus rewards, I would say, in racing. Now, maybe not in terms of like crashing, but just like if you come out of turn 3 and you're side by side and you're on the bottom and you get pinched down to the bottom, you get a little loose, your entire front straightaway is killed. And if the pack's still bunched together in any type of way, you're just going to go backward multiple positions because you're just not going to be able to recover throughout the entire straightaway. You know, eventually everybody kind of levels out, probably about the, I don't know, 3/4 mark of the front stretch, just because these trucks just don't really have the power to kind of hold the advantage throughout the entire straightaway. But I mean, it's still a massive disadvantage. Sorry, if you get a little loose on the bottom of one of these corners and just kill your run down the next front straightaway. I think we kind of saw that from Mark Royce. I think he was trying to make a peek on DJ Honeycutt on the last lap, and now he has fallen about half a second off of DJ within a lap, and Chad McGinley has re-entered the battle for 4th place.
No, I think you're right. Because one thing about this track is it's the longest. I think the front stretch is the longest straightaway in NASCAR, if I'm not mistaken. So you know, a lot of people argue what turn here at Pocono is the most important. As we see some battling going on between, I do believe, Joshua Slade and Justin LeBlanc. LeBlanc trying to work his way back up into the top 10 as Slade is, of course, right there as well in that 10th spot. Barely. They are still side by side, kind of drag racing. But a lot of people say, which corner is the most important? Most people argue, I'd say, that turn 3 is the most important, just considering at least the longest straight. But I mean, I think every corner at this racetrack is fairly important. I'd say if you are able to nail turn 2, a lot of times you can catch a lot of guys and make passes. Very hard to pass through turn 2, but if you got the cojones, you can do it.
Yeah, I'd say turn 3 is definitely the most important, like we mentioned, just for the front stretch. But I mean, I'd probably say turn 2 is the most difficult. I know that a lot of people have kind of some issues, like if you touch that apron just a little bit too much on the inside, trying to cut the corner just a little too much, you know, you can get that loose condition. And even though that goes to the shortest straightaway on the racetrack, it's still not a short straightaway. They call it the short chute, but it is not short whatsoever. You can still lose a good bit of time, lose a position or two just from a bad exit off at turn 2. And also, you get a little loose and you try to catch it, it's the tightest exit out of any of the corners and is the easiest wall to hit on exit. So I would definitely say the trouble spot is turn 2, but the most important corner is turn 3.
We're seeing a little bit of trouble right now. Justin LeBlanc battling with Ricky Hudgens. Got a little bit tight there as they come through turn 3 there. It looks like Ricky Hudgens is just barely able to hold off LeBlanc. I don't think this battle's over, and here comes Joshua Slade on the high side. And you can see already guys are starting to try to break drafts as well, a little bit further ahead of these guys. But the battle's still on. It looks like Stephen Hayes is going to try to take advantage. He moves up to 11th, possibly, trying to get by Justin LeBlanc. LeBlanc kind of being hung out to dry there without draft. As we're on lap now 25 out of 80.
And that's the thing here, you really just do not want somebody to get to your outside. And we've seen the 12 of Joshua Slade and the 85 of Justin LeBlanc switch positions back and forth, because one of them will make a move to the inside of Ricky Hudgens, but they can't complete the pass. And then they just go backwards because they're stuck on the inside of that little train. Finally, Joshua Slade gets by Ricky Hudgens in the 21. But you really just don't want to let somebody have your right rear quarter panel. That is the worst place that you can let somebody get to. If there's a train lined up behind you, you're going to go backwards on the next straightaway, and you're just not going to be able to complete the pass. Now, if you're, you know, if it's a 30-lap run and, you know, the field's kind of spread out, you can absolutely risk that, but I don't know if it's worth the risk when everybody's kind of lined up like they are right now.
We're going to take a ride on board here with Stephen Hayes. He's going to try to get by Ricky Hudgens. And you can see just how he's trying to work that wheel. You get very loose off these corners. You do have to do a little bit of wheel work here. This track is not easy. I mean, it's just not. Everybody's got different braking points. Oh, I wonder if there's anybody actually shifting. I know in the next gen there's been a lot of shifting going on, and that's been kind of a point of contention as well. I don't think we're seeing any shifting here in the truck.
I could see some people maybe shifting in turn 1, but the other 2 corners here at this racetrack, probably not. I don't think that the other 2 have ever really been traditional shifting corners in the 4-speed transmission trucks in Xfinity and even the old Cup cars. So I remember seeing a lot of shifting in turn 1 back in the day, but the other corners probably not. But to your point, in the next gen car, I mean, you're shifting in every corner. You know, you're going down to 4th gear in every single corner, using the engine braking to get down to the optimal speed. So I could see maybe some people doing it in turn 1 if they've got their gearing set up to kind of, I don't know, enhance that shifting ability to give you a better run down the straightaway. But I don't know if anybody in the field today is using that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. We were kind of watching on board there with Stephen Hayes, and he did not shift there in the 1. I don't think so, at least. And he's still battling. And I think if he was going to shift, that would have been the prime opportunity to try to do it. Because when you're side by side, you want that little extra oomph of power when you're side by side with someone. It looks like he does finally. Oh, he's going
with
to
the slide job.
Up.
Oh, he gets a little nudge.
Ricky Hudgens getting loose off the corner. I think he was getting ready to turn Stephen Hayes there for a second. I don't think he was very happy with that slide job.
Yeah, and that just goes to my point, though. You know, Stephen Hayes got stuck on the bottom, and they were side by side and had a little bit of a gap to Justin LeBlanc in the 85. But as they were side by side for the lap, Justin LeBlanc was able to just reel him right back in. And if Stephen Hayes did not get that move done in that corner, he was losing another spot instead of gaining that one. So I think that was just kind of I'm tired of being down here. I'm going to take this top lane back from you. You know, he was right with Joshua Slade for most of this run. Slade finally cleared Ricky, and he's been able to get one more position done and gapped Stephen Hayes by about a second. So I think Stephen Hayes just kind of sees that black truck out of his windshield pulling away and is like, I got to go. You know, I'm losing too much time just kind of fighting on the bottom. But as soon as I say that, he gets right back to the bottom, and it's not going to do him any good. He's going to have to try to fall back into line.
Yeah, also seeing some battling there from David Holsey and Mark Royce. David Holsey just sent it in turn 3 on Royce to try to take that 6th place position. Was not quite able to get it done, and like you said, kind of lost time on the front stretch because he kind of got loose on the bottom there. That's also put Joshua Slade into the position to maybe jump up into 7th as well. So we're seeing a lot of battling still, and it looks like I do believe we see Daniel. I think I see a little bit further back, maybe Steve Gerber. Battling with somebody, maybe Stephen Knight. Oh, almost some contact there. I believe that was actually Ricky Hutchins and Gerber. So it looks like Ricky Hutchins starting to struggle after he had that condition, that loose condition, when he was battling there with Stephen Hayes.
Yeah, whenever somebody slides in front of your nose like that and kind of kills your run off the corner, you kind of see red for a little bit. Oh man, Stephen Hayes just about clobbers the wall. Somebody else does it right behind him too. You can tell these guys are pushing off of turn 3, like we were mentioning. It's the most important corner. You got to get that good run down the front stretch, and they're using every bit of the racetrack to try. It's not necessarily working too good for some of these people, but I kind of want to highlight Joshua Slade. He's moving through the pack really well. He started 19th. Like I said, he was even with Stephen Hayes there for a while, kind of trading positions back, but he just keeps marching through the field. He's about to probably overtake David Holsey here for the 6th position, and we saw David Holsey earlier running for about 4th place. So I'm really impressed with Joshua Slade early on in the running of this one.
Yeah, he's looking really good. Of course, if David Holsey actually just got by Mark Royce with the help of Joshua Slade, and so they had a little bit of a tentative, kind of, I'd say, alliance there for a second. Of course, David Holsey, like you said, I think is getting ready to possibly get challenged by Slade. And Slade has been slowly but surely marching through this field. I mean, last time by he was, or the time before that, he was actually pretty much on pace with what the leader was doing. So I would not be surprised to see Joshua Slade come up here and possibly challenge for maybe the top 5 or maybe even better than that. We'll have to wait and see how that kind of goes down. Looks like Slade here he comes to the inside of David Holsey. Now, remember, he does not have a lot of help, and these guys going side by side is going to possibly bring Mark Royce and Stephen Hayes into the battle. Now, this is the highest that Stephen Hayes has been running all night. He's now up into 9th place position. And I'm telling you, I've been really impressed as well with Michael Hayes. He's starting to pull away or continuing to hold off Austin McGill.
Yeah, Michael Hayes is doing a great job. Like you had mentioned, though, could Austin McGill be using him right now to save gas? You know, if we don't have another caution, could that be the answer to making this a one-stop? I'm not too sure. I'd be really interested to see kind of how it works out. But they have definitely kind of extended their gap to over 2nd, over 3rd place. You know, they've completely broken the draft from DJ Honeycutt. So if Austin McGill's trying to save gas, DJ Honeycutt can't. He's got absolutely no help. Chad McGinley cannot. The only person in the top 5 that also could is EJ Luna because he's tucked up pretty good behind Chad. But going back to Joshua Slade, I'm very surprised because he's making this run on the long run with equal tires to everybody. You know, we've had about 16, 17 laps from the restart, and he has really started to pick up the pace and move forward towards the front of the field. If you remember last week at New Hampshire, you know, he had newer tires on than everybody at one point, about 10 lap newer tires if I'm not mistaken, maybe 20. And he picked through the field, but then he ended up wearing the hell out of his tires and ended up losing time to the leader, losing 2nd place after he had marched all the way through the front, and just kept getting really, really loose. So he definitely wore out those tires really bad last week on that run. So I'm very interested to see, you know, he's picked through these people on a long run, right? You know, it's not like he just had a crazy good restart and killed the hell out of his tires. He is still 2/10 faster than the leader. So I'm extremely impressed with Joshua Slade that he is saving tires as well as he is this week after kind of a weird performance last week where it looked like he might be able to challenge for a top 5, but ended up leaving the race after having some tire issues, I believe.
Yeah, no, he's looking really good right now. I mean, like you said, you're 100% on the money. I mean, I remember last week, I think at New Hampshire, he actually like you said, I think, or kind of alluded to, he left the race just because of how much he was struggling. I mean, even though he had fresher tires than everybody else, he kind of pulled to the side and took a tow. It seems like we're seeing a completely different Joshua Slade right now. I mean, last time by, he was the fastest car on the track. And so I do expect he's going to continue to march his way forward as he starting to catch up to EJ Luna, about 7/10 back from EJ Luna. So he's definitely knocking on the door of the top 5. Of course, fuel window is actually coming to a close here very, very soon. Or should I say the fuel window or the fuel run, we're starting to run out of gas is what I'm trying to say, because I said about 28 to 29 laps is about as far as you can make it. I do believe we're starting to have a battle for the lead, and Austin McGill has taken the lead, actually.
Yeah, good move from Austin McGill. Sorry, Michael Hayes definitely kind of let him in going into turn 2, it looked like. I don't think that he wanted to challenge that too much at this point. Let's see. Man, Michael Hayes just kind of got out of the groove a little bit. I want to say he had to lift to prevent from hitting the wall, and really just kind of gifts the lead to Austin McGill after it looked like he was going to do a good job holding on to it for, I mean, I don't know, about the last 20 laps. So he's done a really good job up to that point, but, just one mistake. And, whenever you have a driver of Austin McGill's caliber, breathing down your neck for so long, it only takes one mistake to kind of let them get the lead back from you.
Yeah, we should take a look back here. Joshua Slade now making a pass on Chad McGinley. Of course, McGinley was just passed by EJ Luna. Of course, EJ Luna been looking really, really good here today. I mean, very fast lap times here. You see Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes, he lost. Look how much lap time he lost on that mistake. 57.284. I mean, he lost about a half a second to that mistake.
And that just goes to the point. Every single straightaway here is so important, right? Even the shortest one is a pretty long straightaway. And, I mean, he had the mistake coming off of turn 1 and going on to Long Pond straightaway, which it's literally got long in the name. So, it's a little bit difficult. But to your point about the pit stops, we see 2 people come in. I believe that's David Holsey and Steve Gerber both coming in. Don Blasier, too, making it a threesome coming down to pit road right here. Maybe a little early to make it on one stop, but maybe they didn't save enough fuel.
And all 3 of these guys are actually 5 Aces Motorsports guys as well. So interesting to see they got some team strategies kind of playing out right now. As we see, of course, Joshua Slade still trying to make his way up in the top 5. Looks like he's going to make it, as I think Chad McGinley kind of lifted to let him go there. Because turn 2 is kind of a game of chicken, and I don't think Chad wanted to play.
Yeah, no kidding. And this late in the run, I mean, Joshua Slade ran these guys back from a long distance. Whenever you see that on a long run and somebody has just saved their tires better than you or just has a better long run setup, I mean, you kind of just have to give way and let them have it. It just is going to cost you way more time if you're going to fight it, especially down these straightaways. If you get side by side and you think this is going to be a long run to the finish, then you really just don't want to give up time. You're racing time rather than the cars around you, because you just want to beat them on time towards the end. So maybe more of a strategic move from Chad McGinley, just hoping that he doesn't, give up too much time to the other competitors. But he also could just be really struggling on this long run.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and not everybody's going to have the long run set up, and all these laps that we've already turned so far, I mean, they lead to where these guys are right now. So, I mean, it just depends on if he's abused them. I mean, this is a tough track to get the setup, I say, nailed down. As you see, of course, Stephen Hayes actually making the move on Chad McGinley at the moment as well. I'll tell you, Stephen Hayes has done a fantastic job driving his way back to the field. I mean, he had an AOL, was sent back to, I believe, outside of 15. And he's now up to 6, so he's well on his way to trying to join his brother. And lap time-wise, I do believe he's the fastest car on the track. Him and Joshua Slade have been really, really just really the fastest so far.
Yeah, Joshua Slade made a move around Chad McGinley, not the last lap, but the lap before that, and he had still picked up time on the leader, right? And he's making a move on EJ Luna here, and he's going to have the draft down Long Pond straightaway. So I think Joshua Slade and Stephen Hayes might have something really big for the leaders at the end of this race. I mean, they are both absolutely moving, starting at the back of the pack on this restart. So I'd be very interested to see if they could kind of get into the top 3, top 5, and then a caution come out, so that they could kind of bunch the field back up together and then see if they could get another long run to see if they could run down the leaders. I really think that they have something for them. I mean, Joshua Slade just makes a dive move down to the bottom of DJ Honeycutt here. He's trying for 3rd place. I don't think he's going to get it done, but he'll get this long, or the draft down the long straightaway here. Maybe be able to make another move coming off of turn 1.
And you see already Austin McGill trying to break the draft there on Michael Hayes. But yeah, I think Slade has got a lot of pace. I mean, I think he's going to get by DJ Honeycutt. But I think Honeycutt's also struggling a little bit as well. I mean, I don't know. I think he might have got it actually back underway there that last time by. But I know that Honeycutt was in the 57-second range. But it looks like get a little bit of some Joshua Slade in the rearview mirror. I guess that's a pretty good motivator. Get moving.
If I saw somebody moving that fast in my rearview mirror, I'd be a little freaked out too. I might just get out of their way. But we've kind of seen, I think Stephen Hayes is kind of evened out just a little bit. Maybe he's still saving his stuff a little bit. Maybe he's getting ready to come down to pit road. But, I mean, I'm mega impressed with Joshua Slade after last week. What we saw, I just thought he would, burn his tires up again. But, I mean, he's just marching through the field. He tried making that dive move on DJ Honeycutt as DJ comes to pit road, so he's not even going to have to pass him. But even with that little dive move, he had gained on the lead by about 100th of a second. So I'm just really, really impressed with Joshua Slade and Stephen Hayes coming from the back of the pack.
We got some more guys peeling off coming down pit road. I believe that's Daniel Ott and Mark Royce. Not surprised for Mark Royce. Mark Royce was up in the top 5, and now he had fallen back to I do believe 10. So he was starting to struggle there for sure. So a lot of guys. I think they realize as well that they're not going to make this on one stop. They're going to have to split this probably into 2 stops. And I think a lot of these guys are just like biting, go ahead and come down. Take the tires. Tires are important. And I think that could be a big deal, that these guys that are kind of a little bit more of a split it into, I'd say, thirds type strategy. I like that. I think that's going to be a good idea. I think it's going to make for better lap times. Here comes EJ Luna, I do believe, coming to pit road. Michael Hayes, Stephen Hayes. Austin McGill, of course, deciding to stay out just a little bit longer, along with Joshua Slade and Chad McGinley.
Yeah, and Joshua Slade picked off another 2
problems on
pits.
the pit road. Justin LeBlanc, major hit. I do believe problems with Ricky Hudgens. Man, that was a hard lick. He's going to be definitely feeling that. We're going to see exactly what took place here. You see Justin LeBlanc coming off of turn 3, pretty low onto the racetrack, catches a little bit of the grass. I don't think that has anything to do with this, but I think he slowed down a little bit. Or maybe Ricky Hudgens just didn't slow down enough and just came in and just got him in the rear end there, turned him right around into the inside barrier there. And I'm sure Justin LeBlanc probably not too happy about that. That's for sure. I wouldn't be. He is staying on pit road, probably getting some damage repaired. Ricky Hudgens just drives off.
Yeah, I mean, that sucks for LeBlanc, but to Ricky Hudgens' credit, I think he just had a really good pit entry. I think he was easily going to get it slowed down in time, but I really just think LeBlanc maybe didn't know exactly where the pit entry was, like where the pit speed limit was, but I don't know. I think he just slowed down just a little bit too much for being that early. He was already going pit road speed limit whenever they made contact.
Is that right?
So,
okay,
yeah.
So that might have been actually more on Justin LeBlanc's side there. That's unfortunate. So Ricky Hudgens was just doing a normal pit stop there, and man, and he's going to probably have a little bit of front nose damage as a result of that as well.
For sure.
As Austin McGill still out on the racetrack. He's got about 2.7 seconds right now on Joshua Slade. And Slade has just been really running some pretty good lap times. Been very impressed with him. Of course, Chad McGinley, he's struggling right now. I'm surprised Chad hasn't come down pit road. 58-second lap that last time
I think
by.
Chad McGinley's saving fuel 100%. If he's running 58-second lap times, I guarantee you Chad McGinley has been saving fuel for longer than we thought. I think that's probably why he let Joshua Slade go the way he did. I think the target lap time for these guys is probably lap 48 if they're trying to make it on one stop.
Whoa.
They restarted, I believe, on lap 14. So that would leave about 66 laps to go, half that into 33. 14 plus 33, got to get to about lap 47. That's my opinion.
And he is actually clutching. I'm seeing this in some of the corners here. He's been clutching to save a little bit of gas. He's not doing it in turn 2, but I know we just saw him do it in turn 1. So yeah, he's clearly saving. He's trying to save some fuel. This is interesting. This is very interesting. I don't know if this is going to be worth it though. I mean, I feel like he's sacrificing so much lap time that those guys that are going to be on new tires are probably going to end up catching him. I don't know how this is going to. I don't know. Pocono's a big track though, so we'll have to wait and see how that kind of works out.
Sorry, they will absolutely catch him. Especially with him saving gas. But everybody else has to come down pit road one more time. If he can make it to lap 47 or extend it to 48, 49 by some miracle, he will absolutely pass all of them back by the end of this race, and he won't get repassed as long as it stays green. So I think if Chad McGinley can stretch this to 48, 49, I mean, he will absolutely have a good run to the finish to maybe contend with Austin McGill or Joshua Slade. I don't think they're saving nearly as hard as he is. I can't tell if they're clutching or anything, but I really, really think that Chad McGinley has just been playing the save game for longer than we gave him credit for at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, we were talking about, we thought he was struggling on the long run. I don't think he was. Here comes Austin McGill. He dimes down pit road.
And Joshua Slade, both of them coming in. I just think this is
Slade
too early.
actually gained a lot of time there on the entry. Good job on Joshua Slade being very aggressive on the pit entry. He gained about 7/10, I do believe. Actually over a second there.
Yeah, we actually restarted
takes lead. Go ahead.
We actually restarted on lap 15. So we've run 30 laps from now. If they're pitting right now, those, if they get another 30 laps, they're just going to get to lap 75. So even them, the 2 leaders that just pit, they're going to have to come down for a splash of gas at the end of this run. But Chad McGinley, it's really just determined on how long he can stay out. If he can stay out to lap 47 or 48, he's actually got a legitimate chance to win this race off of fuel saving. And Pocono tends to be a fuel mileage racetrack. We've seen a lot of fuel mileage races in real life. The Cup Series has had a ton of them. I remember seeing Matt Kenseth run out of gas and giving the win to Kyle Busch. Chad McGinley's going another lap, so he's going to at least be 46. He's absolutely given this everything he can. He's got the draft here of a car that's already pitted with Bobby Mantle. If he can just even stay with him for one more straightaway, I don't know how that's going to work out with. Yeah, he's not going to be able to with Bobby Mantle having so much better tires. But McGinley, if he can stretch this another lap, he's got a legitimate chance to make this a fuel mileage victory.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's made it this far. He's about 33, 34 laps into this, and it's definitely crazy to see. And also you see, I think Michael Lester actually just coming down pit road along with Ron Harrington. So now it is just Chad McGinley that's out on the racetrack. He's the last one to pit here. And Michael Hayes, of course, pretty much fighting for what I do believe is going to be the lead when Chad does finally come down pit road. Of course, David Holsey's sitting there pretty close right behind him. Stephen Hayes, he's pretty much in the net 3rd position at the moment. But waiting on Chad McGinley to come down pit road. But what a race this has been thus far, I tell you. Been very clean. I think that's been the most impressive thing. I know that in the officials it has not been quite so clean, so these guys gotta definitely be proud of themselves for just taking care of business and being clean and having respect for one another. Of course, these guys race each other week in and week out, so you would hope they would.
I hope it stays that way because we've got so many different tire strategies and fuel strategies that I cannot wait for the end of this race if it stays green.
Yeah, to see which one's going to come out on top. Well, while we wait on Chad McGinley to come down pit road, why don't we take a brief commercial break? I don't think we've had one of them so far today. We've been so enamored with the racing. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Grid Vision's presentation of the Global Racing Truck Series. Of course, my name is Brian Britt, and I have Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator. Of course, Austin Derbyshire down behind the cameras. It's definitely been an interesting race. Of course, Chad McGinley has come down pit road. He was able to make it, I think, the distance he needed to in order to possibly make a one-stop race, which is definitely crazy, surprising to see that he was able to do that. Of course, Michael Hayes now back out into the lead. Of course, what's crazy about this, Michael Hayes qualified, I do believe, on the pole. Stephen Hayes qualified second place, had an EOL penalty, fell back, I do believe, to 15th or maybe even worse than that. And now it's back up into second, Austin. How about that?
Yeah, I think it's just a mixture of the different tire strategies and the different fuel strategies we're seeing in this race. You know, we saw Michael Hayes and Stephen Hayes and a couple other guys pit a little bit before Austin McGill and I believe it was Joshua Slade. And you saw those new tires really gave them a big advantage. Austin McGill fell about 8 seconds back from the lead, or the tentative lead, as Chad McGinley was still out on the track. But he's crawled it back down to about 5 seconds. But it's really shaking up the running order, and it kind of is leaving me wondering exactly how everything's going to kind of end up at the end of this race, because we're going to have a lot of people who are just making it a normal, cutting it into thirds, two-stop, to where they're going to take 4 tires each time. And then we have some people like Austin McGill, who was leading, and Joshua Slade, who had that hell of a run from the back of the pack up to second before pit stop started. They're going to probably come in for just a splash of gas for their second pit stop if it stays green. And then you have Chad McGinley all the way back in 14th, who's, yeah, he's 24 seconds off the lead right now, but he's got the freshest tires, and he's proven he can make it the exact distance that he needs to if he saves gas the exact same way he did before. And what's great for Chad McGinley is he's got Ricky Hudges right in front of him. As long as they don't lose too much time together, he's got this draft partner all the way down that long front stretch where he could probably run 70, 80% throttle and keep about the same speed as the leaders, since he's got newer tires than them. So the strategies are all over the place. I think if Chad McGinley can make it to the end on fuel, he will win the race. It's just dependent on whether he saves enough gas. But then if he doesn't, I really have no idea whether the guys that are going to come in early to get their second set of 4 tires, or if Austin McGill and Joshua Slade, who are just going to have to take a splash of fuel, I have no idea which one of those strategies will work out better. So I think everybody that is going to definitely come down pit road again, they're just got to run as hard as they can for the rest of this race and hope and pray that Chad McGinley runs out of gas.
Yeah, I think that's the key, and it could very well happen. But, I mean, what would really undo all of that, though, is a caution, which could happen as well. I mean, there's a lot of different things, situations, and, you know, outcomes that could end up happening here. As we see, of course, some battling going on. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is Don Blasier on the high side, battling with, I do believe, Daniel Ott. And, of course, you see Mark Royce as well right there in position. But there's a lot that could happen. Of course, I do see some battling as well. Austin McGill and E.J. Luna battling for that third place position. E.J. Luna just got past. And McGill has taken a lot of this time back from these leaders. I mean, of course, he is on fresher tires. Last time by, he was about 0.4, even a half a second or more faster than Michael Hayes, who was our leader.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this works out. I think Austin McGill is going to eventually take this lead back pretty easily, but to our point earlier, how much time is he going to save on that splash of gas, right? It'll be about, I don't know, his pit stop will probably be 3 seconds, if I had to bet, if he's just taking a splash of gas on the last pit stop, while the other competitors are probably going to have a 13-second pit stop for 4 tires. So, you know, he'll get a little bit of an advantage with that, but with everybody putting on tires, we've seen how big of a deal tires are, man.
Oh, like, yeah.
Michael Hayes could pull out a 12-second gap, and then that 10 seconds that Austin McGill would save wouldn't matter as long as Michael Hayes can keep him behind for long enough. So I'm loving this. I love strategy races. You know, whenever Pocono turns into races like these, it's just so fun and mesmerizing to watch, because you just never know how everybody's going to come together at the end of the race. So I'm really excited to see how this works out. If I'm Chad McGinley, I'm probably a little worried right now. If I were him, I would really try to maybe not save for about a lap right now, because he's fallen about a second off of Ricky Hudges. I think getting that draft and getting right up behind him for the long straightaway so that you can breathe the throttle the entire straightaway would be a better saving method than clutching it into turn 1, which he could still clutch into turn 1 after the long straightaway too. So I really think that he just needs to kind of push for a lap or two to really get back into Ricky's draft and continue to save fuel that way. I think that would be beneficial for him. But I mean, the race for the lead, it's going to heat up here. Stephen Hayes is faster than his brother, and faster than both of them is Austin McGill.
Oh yeah, this is definitely going to get. I mean, 'cause as soon as I think Austin catches Stephen, I think I don't know which one's going to happen first. Stephen Hayes is going to catch Michael, or what's going to happen. Of course, we just saw as well a pass for that 7th place position, DJ Honeycutt. But yeah, I think it's great that Chad's saving. I think he just turned up the dial a little bit there to try to gain some of that time back. But if he loses over 40 seconds, even if he can make it, it doesn't matter. That's the time it takes to complete pretty much a pit stop. So that's I think the figure we're looking at for Chad McGinley. I think that we're looking at whether, if he sacrifices too much time, then it's not going to be worth it. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to be the case, and there's a lot of different strategies that could work out. I don't know about Austin McGill. You're talking about him coming down and just taking a splash. Now, that could be interesting because, I mean, you still have to spend about, 30 or so seconds coming down pit road to actual pit lane itself, and then spending, possibly a couple seconds in the box. That's still a lot of time to be losing. So I don't know how this is all going to play out, and also coming out on old tires. And could have a possibility of a spin, or maybe he takes 2 tires. I don't know. 2 tires have been somewhat of a viable strategy here as of late. As you see, of course, I believe Austin McGill catching up quickly to the rear end of Stephen Hayes, and he's kind of going to help out Stephen a little bit, kind of pushing him closer to Michael.
Yeah, I think maybe we'd see a little bit of brotherly blocking. Maybe Stephen Hayes would help out Michael a little bit, but I mean, they're just both reeling him in. No matter, I think this is actually probably really smart from Austin McGill. He's making it where, hey, I don't even have to battle the guy, and we're still going to catch him, by a couple tenths a lap. And then as soon as they get there, I mean, Stephen Hayes, if he's got better tires than Michael and he's able to catch him, he was reeling him in a little bit by himself before McGill even got there. Will Stephen be patient and sit behind him, or will he just try to make the pass and try to scoot away from McGill before McGill can get past Michael himself?
I do believe I just heard someone engine blow. Caution flag is out. Yeah, I think we got the 66. This is changing everything.
My fuel
Ron
mileage
Holmes
raise.
blew his engine. I think he just blew his engine, and this has caused a caution. I know I heard the sound of an engine blowing. That's a pretty distinct sound. This just changed everything. Let's take a look back and see what happened. I think it was in turn 2. Boom, hit into, yep.
Oh. Bam.
And that'll blow the engine quicker than anything right there. That's a one-way ticket to the pits.
Yeah, that exit of turn 2 just gets a little tight, and I mean, I'm kind of surprised nobody's really made that mistake all day. I don't think I've seen anybody pound the turn 2 wall before, so I'm honestly surprised that it didn't happen earlier. Somehow Ron Harrington is rolling with power. I thought that it was blown, but he's got a little bit of power.
I heard the engine go. I guess he's
yeah, it's smoking.
Battery.
It's smoking, but he's rolling, so I'm kind of surprised. But
maybe he'll make it to pit lane. Looks like
I'm really surprised that didn't happen earlier. I'm upset that it did happen because I like I said, I love these fuel mileage races. Chad McGinley, I mean, that sucks for him.
That was a gamble that's not going to pay off for him. And it could have paid dividends. I'm telling you, he had all his money on one strategy, but now he's going to have to switch up the game, and he's going to have to worry about speed now. He's going to have to hey, I need to get out there and run my best laps to try to get through this field. But we talked about how difficult track position and making passes through this traffic is, and I think he is just setting himself up to have to climb a mountain.
Yeah, I mean, so what he could do, and he'll have, 8 green flag laps, 9 green flag laps on his tires. He could just heavy mega save throughout this entire caution, save all that he needs to make it to the end maybe, and stay out. But even with that on the old tires, I don't know if that's the best decision. But, going back to Ron Harrington, that's just, it's really unfortunate because that's a very minor mistake, especially with these trucks. You'd think that right side damage wouldn't be too bad, but you hit that wall, and if it just ping pongs you off in the wrong direction, as you could see, you just go nose onto the wall. So I'm really sad for Ron. That is, like I said, a very minor mistake that turned into a major one. So it's upsetting for him.
Yeah, and it looks like pretty much everybody heading down pit road. I do believe Chad McGinley included. And it looks like, ooh, David Holsey, I think, just had to hit the reverse. So I think he might have missed his box. That might cost him a couple spots.
Stephen Hayes did the same.
And it looks like Austin McGill definitely good on pit road. He's going to come out in second place, right behind Michael Hayes. Of course, Stephen Hayes falls back to fourth place. EJ Luna gains a spot up to third. Interesting to see how this kind of plays out. As this is going to be a 20-lap run, I do believe, or a little bit less than 20 laps to the end.
I hate to see that for Chad McGinley.
I hate it. I hate to say it, but I think Austin or Michael, one of these two, they've been fast all race.
I mean, I think that's a safe bet. They did kind of pull away from the field a little bit, but to be fair, Steven hasn't been up front. You know, he qualified second, and he hasn't been up front on a restart. So I wouldn't count out Stephen Hayes. I think anybody in the top four really has a really good chance. As we see, Ronald Holmes stayed out again, but this time he's a lap down, so he won't be able to stay in front of the field. But I really think Stephen Hayes might have something for him here.
Yeah, this is definitely his best opportunity. I think this is the first time he's restarted this close to the front. So, no, I definitely agree. I think Steven's got a good shot here. We'll have to wait and see how this kind of plays out. I'm not sure why, but Joshua Slade spent a lot of time on pit road, 32 seconds.
No,
I'll tell you, he would have been one that if he was up here in Stephen Hayes' position, I think he would also be one that I wouldn't count out. But I think he must have had gotten some damage that he had to repair. Very easy to do here at Poconos. I can't believe
that's so terrible for Joshua Slade. He was having such a great run. I mean, we were singing his praises earlier because, I mean, clearly he figured something out on the tire saving stuff from week to week. And he was lightning quick on the long run, man. And if he would have started in the top 5 like he probably should have, I mean, we've got I think a 20-lap run coming. Yeah, 19-lap run coming after this caution lap. I mean, you know, he was really starting to pick them off after about 10, 11 laps, so he really could have had a good chance here at the end of this race. So that's heartbreaking for Joshua Slade. Don't know exactly what happened to him, but I hate to see him go to the back like that whenever he had such a lightning fast truck.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he hit the wall. I mean, it's just so easy to do here at Pocono. I mean, just the nature of this racetrack, we talked about it, you know, very much a driver's track. And you want to, you know, you have to arc these corners in such a way to where you're using the entire racetrack. You're going from wall to wall, essentially. And then a lot of times that wall is a little bit too, a couple inches too much to the left. It looks like we're getting ready to go. Go ahead, Austin.
Oh, I apologize for that, but I just want to kind of give something to look out for on the restart. You know, we saw even whenever Ronald Holmes stayed out on old tires on the earlier restart, he got a absolutely massive jump on Austin McGill on the initial start. So if EJ Luna can stay hooked up with Michael Hayes here and Austin McGill gets an equally as poor restart right off the bat, EJ Luna could very well be side by side, if not clear, of Austin McGill going into turn 1. So we really need to look for how good or bad of a restart Austin McGill gets here on the front stretch.
Yeah, it really just depends on if he could time it out. If Michael Hayes is going to be definitely be trying to, I think, be a little unpredictable here as the green flag comes out. Not as monster of a restart as Ronald Holmes had earlier.
Yeah, McGill did a good job staying with him. Stephen Hayes tied right onto his bumper. He can't make a move on him because EJ Luna's to his inside. Austin McGill peeking, but he's going to put back in the line just so he can get a good arc for the corner. He's going to try to get to Michael Hayes' right rear in the middle of the corner. As he does, we're going to see if Hayes can clear him before the exit of the corner. Austin McGill gets a little loose, but they're going to be side by side, just about equal going down the backstretch. Let's see what Stephen Hayes does. He should get a little bit of a run.
That was a big wiggle right there. But, I mean, he kept the momentum. I'm surprised he was able to hold that momentum. Side by side into 2. This is a scary place to be side by side. You also see side by side David Holsey, I do believe DJ Honeycutt battling for that 5th place position. Austin McGill right now in the lead tentatively. As let's see, nope, looks like Michael Hayes giving a lead out of 3.
Wow,
big
what a move from Michael
here.
Hayes. Holy cow, he drove that in so deep, cleared Austin McGill. Maybe Austin McGill gave him a little bit of a breathing room there, but that was an insane side job coming through turn 3 from Michael Hayes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what a move there. You see Austin McGill pushing him pretty much down the entire front stretch. It's definitely one of those tracks where you can push guys into the corner a little faster than they want to go. But I think Michael Hayes' truck is clearly capable of handling some pushes here. As we see a little bit of blocking there from Austin McGill on Stephen Hayes. Battle on for second place now. As Hayes, or Stephen Hayes, has not had really an opportunity to battle for the top 2 positions. I think he's going to get it now.
Yeah, we saw how good Stephen Hayes was on the long run. You know, if he could hold and just, you know, stay in the draft with the 2 leaders here, I really think that, you know, if he saves the tires the same way and is able to keep that draft, he'll be able to make the charge at the end of the run and pass them both. So, if I'm Stephen Hayes, maybe you just kind of back it down a little bit. You don't push Austin McGill up to Michael, and you just kind of let it ride. But I mean, he's being aggressive. He's got to his outside again going into turn 1. That's not the preferred groove in the middle of the corner, but if he can hold it the entire way around, he's going to have a hell of a run down the backstretch.
Not quite able to get that. If he could just get a little contact there with the wall. Also, I do believe seeing some more drivers a little bit further back. I think Chad McGinley might have just hit the wall a little bit as well. Of course, McGinley up to 8th place right now, so not too bad for him at the moment. Of course, considering he had taken a massive gamble there with the fuel save. As we're coming, I do believe, to 16 laps to go. Michael Hayes in complete control. I think this is the best race we've seen from Michael Hayes pretty much all season long. Of course, usually we see Stephen Hayes as the dominator in the Lone Star camp. But it looks like Michael Hayes says, "It's my turn, brother."
Yeah, Michael and Steven are both doing a hell of a job. But, I mean, the front 3 have just absolutely kind of pulled away from the rest of the pack, broken the draft. EJ's kind of having to fend for himself for 4th place here just behind these guys. But Austin McGill just gets a really good exit off of turn 1 where he's able to get a really good run off of, or up towards Michael Hayes. It's just the last couple times he's been battling Steven going into the corner, so he hasn't been able to get to Michael. That time he was able to. Michael had to throw just a little bit of a block, shallow his entry just a little bit, but no harm, no foul. They're going to beat nose to tail going into turn 3 also. We'll see if Austin McGill wants to pull a similar move that Michael pulled earlier, but looks like he's just going to stay in line for now and use the draft down the front stretch.
Yeah, I think Austin is kind of being very cautious right now. He realizes that if I make a move on Michael here, I'm probably going to get the position taken from me by Steven. So it's like he doesn't have any friends. Both of these guys that are right here are Lone Star drivers, but here comes Michael or Austin. He's going to come to the inside.
He's got to clear him.
Make the pass.
He's not going to do it. A little bit of contact coming out of the corner. No harm, no foul. Nobody in the wall. Nobody sideways. It's just going to be side by side all the way down the backstretch. Stephen Hayes is going to try to fill in that gap and hope that Austin gets a bad run off of turn 2, because if he does and Stephen Hayes can hold his outside around 3, he'll be able to get a massive run down the front stretch. Little bit of contact just about again coming out of 2. Man, this is tight racing up front.
Austin McGill almost completely just lost it. He's trying to fit himself into that puzzle piece that is that in between Stephen Hayes and Michael Hayes, but I think the gap, like you said, is feeling a little bit of a tight condition from Austin McGill. Almost, I think he door banged a little bit there with Michael. Still, though, the battle is on. Austin McGill not giving up as we have 14 laps to go.
He's going to have to send it into turn 1 and hope that he clears here, because Steven has gotten just about right up on the back bumper of both of them. Steven's going to get a great run here and be able to push Michael all the way down Long Pond. He might be side by side with Austin McGill going into turn 2 for second. They might just clear him before they even get there.
Yeah, I think it's just because, you know, Michael and Steven have teammates here. It's a draft. I mean, if David Halsey or somebody was up here.
Oh, the contact out of 2. Austin McGill, what a save. Oh my goodness.
And of course, you see Austin McGill now being caught by his teammate there. 5/8's David Halsey. So if those guys get linked up, I think that's what Austin's probably hoping for. But unfortunately, like you said, just got loose into got tight, I should say. Almost got up into Stephen Hayes, but good save. Didn't wreck anybody. Hard, clean racing here. Now I think Stephen Hayes, even though he was helping his brother Michael Hayes, I think now it's not time to help him anymore. It's time to go try to get that victory.
Yeah, but they really don't want to bring Austin McGill back into this battle, right? Like, if they can kind of just push each other down the front stretch and kind of, you know, extend that lead from Austin a little bit more and dump him, you know, off of the lead draft, you know, they could really make this a a 2-car race for the last 10 laps, but we've seen how fast Austin McGill is. I don't think he's going to give up easily or anything. So it's really just about how good these 2 Lone Star trucks can work together to pull away. And to your point about the teammate stuff earlier, as long as it wasn't Austin McGill's teammate that was the 3rd car in that, I don't think the teammate stuff would have mattered at all. If it was a Lone Star truck and somebody else against Austin McGill, I think they both would have pushed each other past Austin McGill, because I think everybody else is tired of McGill winning. So I don't know if the team stuff really mattered there, but I mean, obviously it made it a definite that they were going to help each other. But Austin is kind of eking back into the picture. He picked up a 10th there that last lap, so I don't think this one's over by any long shot.
No, not at all. And he's also got, quite a little bit of I'd say about 4/10 or so gap to Stephen Hayes, which is kind of at super speedways. You see that like gap. He's probably going to start running some really good laps just because of the fact that he's got a little bit of a gap distance that he can use to sort of draft up to these guys. And I don't know. I feel like Stephen, you talk about Michael and Stephen working together. I don't know. You see a little bit of a
man, Stephen's so tight out of the corner, then gets loose, gets the right rear into the outside wall. Doesn't lose any he doesn't lose any momentum going down the front stretch. And they actually gained on McGill by about 3/10 that lap. I didn't see exactly what happened to him, but McGill's getting a challenge from David Holsey for 3rd.
Yeah, David Holsey said, I want 3rd. And then he gets cropped back over, I do believe.
McGill's got some right side damage.
That must have scraped the wall a little bit there. Doesn't seem like it's shouldn't affect him too much, but it looks like he is definitely in danger of falling outside of maybe even the top 5 here, as David Holsey now moves up to the 3rd place position.
Austin McGill pounded the wall out of turn 3. We were so focused on Stephen Hayes getting pushed loose that we did not see Austin McGill just get super, super tight and absolutely pound the fence down. That's why David Holsey got the hell of a run down the front stretch. I mean, that might have killed any chance for Austin McGill. He's fallen all the way back to 5th.
That's unfortunate, too. Austin definitely had a really good shot at it. What a recovery as well from Chad McGinley, knocking on the back door there of the, of course, Austin McGill, of the top 5. I mean, Chad, he's been gambling. He gambled pretty hard this race, but he's bounced back and didn't lose his whole house. How about that?
Yeah, and I bet Chad's hoping for a caution so he can put on that last set of tires. We saw he was stupid fast at the beginning of the race. He was running in the top 3 until that first caution. But I think from that first restart, he was already in save mode thinking this is my best chance to win. But honestly, I think he's got the pace. If he gets another restart and just starts in the preferred line, I think he's got a good chance to win this race.
And also, we saw Joshua Slade. He spent a little bit of time on pit road, a little bit extra time. Of course, he's running some really good laps right now. He's right behind Daniel Ott in that 10th place position. So definitely a lot of chances here. Here comes Chad McGinley to the inside of McGill, going to actually take that 5th place position. And of course, Michael Hayes and Stephen Hayes pulling away. They have about a 1.2 second gap on the 57 of David Holsey. And they are running, I do believe, the fastest laps on the track right now. I think still watch out for Stephen Hayes. I think he wants to win this race, and he's been another race. A guy that has won a lot of races this season. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think he just took the points lead. I do believe after this one.
We still need to watch out for Chad McGinley. He's moving. He is up to 4th place. He restarted in the back of the pack. I mean, he must have been 13th, 14th on the restart. He has climbed all the way up to 4th place. If he gets a caution, he will be right back in this race.
And it could very well happen. You see McGill getting a little bit loose off of turn 3. Of course, Mark Roy is going to be trying to pass on the top side. Here comes EJ Luna, 3 wide, as Luna tries to see if he can't get one over on the 99.
McGinley's loving this in his mirror. I mean, he's hoping and praying one of these guys makes a mistake. If he just has one of them push up and kind of have another one turn the other one, they're still going to be just about 3 wide coming off the corner. They're going to sort it out to 2 wide. But, man, Chad McGinley, he is absolutely flying right now.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's I'd say about a 10th faster than David Holsey, and he's about 4/10 back from him. So I would not be surprised to see him work his way up and possibly take a podium position here.
And look at this, Joshua Slade from the back of the pack 2 on the restart. He's going to make it 3 wide going into turn 3. He drives it in so deep, passes both of them before the exit of the corner. and is still going to have the preferred groove going down the front stretch. Great job from Joshua Slade to pick up a couple more spots after he kind of had the pit road mishap from earlier.
Yeah,
I
he fell
hope he
back
was
to
not
12th.
on pit road.
Yeah, I hope not. He just fell back to 12th place, and now he's all the way up to 6th. Telling you, man, Slade he's got a lot of pace in that vehicle, and has really put it on display here today. Definitely been very impressed with his run here. EJ Luna as well. He's trying to battle back on the 12. You could tell that desperation, I think, is in the air. A lot of these guys are like, the race is getting close to the end. If we're going to do something, we got to do it now. And I think that's what Joshua Slade's kind of putting on display right now. As, of course, we see Chad McGinley as well catching up quickly still to David Holsey. Holsey not running the best laps right now, or he's running pretty good laps, but compared to McGinley is just a rocket ship. Last time by, he was the fastest on the racetrack, faster than the leaders by 2/10, 3/10.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he just doesn't have the clean air now, so he's going to lose a little bit of time that lap, and he's just honestly kind of run out of laps to challenge for the lead unless he gets a late race caution. But I mean, heck, he could still get on the podium after restarting way in the back of the pack with what 15 to go. Oh my goodness, absolutely hell of a run from Chad McGinley to get up here, and I mean, heck, we can't sleep on Joshua Slade for a top 3 either. He's just a second behind these guys.
Yeah, that he is. I do believe he actually definitely driving his way forward. He was in 6th last we looked at him, and now up to, of course, that 5th place position. Here comes McGinley. He drives right by David Holsey, and Holsey tries to see if he possibly couldn't cross him over, but was not able to get there. Side by side as well for the lead. Stephen Hayes is going to try to take the lead here.
And this is honestly what Chad McGinley needs to see. If they stay side by side for a long time, I mean, the side drafting alone down these front straightaways could absolutely bring Chad McGinley back into this race, and he has been absolutely flying faster than the leaders, even whenever they were single file.
Still side by side for the lead. This could bring Chad McGinley into it. It could possibly bring Joshua Slade into it. If these guys start beating and banging, and you see Hayes getting pretty tight there. I don't think this is over yet. This is going to slow these guys down even more and more.
One of the Hayes got tight, one of the Hayes got loose. They just about met in the middle and crashed each other. But I mean, Chad McGinley, he's picked up another 10th just about, just through one alone. But they have kind of single filed back out in front. Stephen Hayes is going to try to mount another charge here at the end of the race. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it as we're 3 wide back further in the pack. Joshua Slade trying to get 4th place away from David Holsey. EJ Luna trying to get 4th place away from both of them. Joshua Slade's going to go through on the 3 wide move on the bottom of turn 3 again. He's making that move his move.
Yeah, he is looking fantastic. Joshua Slade been just able to really put that truck wherever he wants, and it seems like it just works. Got a really good truck underneath him, that's for sure. They unloaded, and man, I tell you, they were embarrassed last week, I think, Austin, and I think they showed up with something to prove this week.
Yeah, I mean, Joshua's absolutely figured it out. I mean, he's flown from the back of the pack twice. Steven has come from the back of the pack from the EOL to be right on Michael's bumper with, 4 to go right now. Chad McGinley, I mean, unless the leaders get together, I do think he's going to need a caution, but I mean, I wouldn't even put it past the 2 leaders. I know they're on the same team, but they're running hard, not giving each other any room whenever they are side by side. As Stephen Hayes is maybe trying to peek on the outside, going to try to get a run down the front stretch. He might be just a little too tight exiting the corner. He's going to make it work. I don't know if he's going to be able to get a run on him or not, but I mean, he's just absolutely hounding him.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to go to Thanksgiving with these guys. I mean, might be a little upset with each other by the end of this race.
Yeah, we've got 3 to go. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them gave him the bumper. I know if I was racing my brother, I'd be giving him the bumper into turn 3. So it doesn't matter who I race.
Love, right?
I'm telling you, I would be I would probably be more likely to bump my brother out of the way than I would somebody else. So if I was Michael, I'd be a little scared.
Be a fist fight out in the front yard.
I wouldn't wreck him, but I'd move him. Especially if I've got 2 seconds behind me to the next guy. He won't lose a spot if you don't hit him too hard.
Yeah, just kind of push him into the corner faster than he wants to go, and you can see that he definitely was trying to possibly go to the top. He tried to go to the bottom, and he got tight. But coming now to 2 laps to go, Michael Hayes has been pretty much the dominant force here today. He's led, I do believe, the majority of the laps. And it looks like I do believe they're going to possibly be able to finish 1-2 here, depending on what happens Of course, Joshua Slade, he's starting to catch up to Chad McGinley. About a half a second separates those two drivers.
So we've got a race
Also,
for the
EJ
lead and a
Luna
race for the
still
podium.
battling. EJ Luna still battling with David Holsey for that 5th place position as well.
Can Stephen Hayes mount a charge? He needs a great run through turn 2 here so that he can be right on the bumper going into turn 3. He has a little bit better entry than Michael does. Michael missed the bottom by just a smidge. It's going to give Stephen the chance just to get a good little draft through the short chute here. If he can get a good run off of turn 3 coming to the white flag, I mean, no telling what's going to happen on the last lap between these two.
And do we see it? Do we get the white flag? And I think we will. As Michael Hayes tries to break the draft and they cross the line. And the white flag is waving here. Final lap around the tricky triangle, Pocono Raceway. Last ditch effort here for Stephen Hayes. Can he get the lead?
Michael's
from
a little
brother
high.
Michael getting
Michael's a little
tight.
high. Stephen's going to have a good run down Long Pond. This is his chance. He's going to shove him all the way down the straightaway. Pulls out last minute side draft going into turn 2. Can he complete the move? He bombs it in there. They're side by side still coming out of the corner. They're going to be side by side all the way down the short shooting into turn 3.
This is going to be a drag race, ladies and gentlemen. A classic Pocono finish. Even though we didn't get to see how the fuel was going to work out, we're going to get to see a battle between brothers as Michael Hayes makes the pass, and I think he is going to get a pass done on the last lap, and Stephen Hayes will win this race. Wow.
Unbelievable move from Stephen Hayes. He had a hell of a run through turn 1. I mean, he was able to, I don't know if he pressured Michael into the mistake or if Michael just got a little tight, but he ran just a little wide through turn 1. Stephen Hayes got a great run down the back, was able to get side by side. They stay perfectly side by side all the way down the short chute. Watch Stephen Hayes just absolutely bomb it into turn 3. I thought he was going to get way too tight, maybe touch the wall. He gets a little tight, gets a little loose coming out of the corner right there, comes off the wall just a little bit, but not enough for Michael to get anything back. If it was, I don't know, if the start-finish line was at the very end of the straightaway, maybe he has a chance, but wow, Stephen Hayes leads 1 lap after starting from the back of the pack. What an unbelievable drive.
Yeah, for sure. That's a stat I didn't even think about. I mean, he did not lead a single lap except for the last one. Of course, was slated to start, I do believe, on the outside pole, but of course, I do believe received an EOL penalty from some race control. I do believe a penalty or something that he had earned. Of course, fell back outside of the 15th, I do believe, and then drove his way up to the front and led the final lap. As, of course, he's going to do us a victory burnout here on behalf of Martin Sport.
I like to think I had a little bit of part of this win. I ate Whataburger twice last night. So I went to Whataburger for lunch, and then I went to Whataburger for dinner after work at like 1 a.m. So I like to think that I had a little bit of part in Steven's victory here, just giving him a little bit more fuel in the tank.
Yeah.
I feel great about it.
I mean, I've had Whataburger one time.
Oh my!
When I was in Texas. It was pretty good.
Only once.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't have them in the South, in South Carolina.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, I bet it is. But of course, that brings us to the conclusion of our Martin Sports winning moment. Of course, Martin Sports, a family-owned apparel company in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. They've been open for a decade and proved to be the best provider of apparel for everyone. Of course, if you're looking for apparel for your local sports team, business, or special events, maybe a family reunion, those are these are the guys to reach out to for sure. I mean, they definitely will take care of you. Not only that, but of course, Martin Sports is a major brand in sim racing apparel. They even have sim racing gloves. I know that they've recently released a new glove called a Scully, which is really cool design that they have recently that they have on their website. Of course, if you want to check out all of their stuff or maybe get some custom apparel, visit martinsports906.com today to get started. Of course, let's do a quick rundown through the final results here today. Of course, Stephen Hayes going to be finishing on the podium in the victory. He's going to be going to victory lane, leading just only 1 lap. Second place, Michael Hayes, in a thrilling battle there for that position. Of course, third place, Chad McGinley. 4th place, Joshua Slade. What a race from Joshua Slade. 5th place, EJ Luna. 6th place, DJ Honeycutt. 7th place, David Holsey. 8th, Steve Gerber. 9th, Mark Royce. And, of course, 10th, Ricky Hudgens.
11th place, we got Don Blasier. Good run from him for the David Blasier Memorial Race. 12th place, Steve Knight. 13th, Daniel Ott. 14th, Kenny Heath. 15th, Michael Lester Sr. 16th, Austin McGill. Man, it looked like he was going to have the truck to beat, or one of the trucks to beat, but he pounded the turn 3 wall with about 5 laps to go and kind of killed his race there, but still, he's still showing the speed. Unfortunately, Bobby Mantle couldn't back up his back-to-back podiums. Unfortunately, finishes 17th after an early accident. 18th, Ron Holmes. 19th, Ron Harrington. 20th, Matthew Escalera. 21st, Justin LeBlanc. And 22nd, Dale Brooks.
Alrighty, unfortunate there. Like you said, Dale Brooks going to be losing even more points and going to be plummeting through the field. Let's go ahead and take our post-race show. We'll go ahead and talk to our 3rd place finisher. Of course, that'll be Chad McGinley finishing in 3rd place. I mean, very nice recovery considering, you made a huge gamble on the fuel. I mean, you really were saving a whole lot. We're probably hoping that it would go green the rest of the way, but unfortunately it did not. But you picked yourself back up, got back up on the horse, and was turning some of the fastest laps out there, Chad. How you feeling?
Yeah, that was my strategy. I was 3 laps to the good when that caution came out. Everybody had to go pit one more time, so I was just weeding my way through and just kind of clutching a lot of the corners. But yeah, that caution came out. It really upset me a little bit. The whole game plan switched, so it was full attack mode, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely seemed like full attack mode was the strategy for sure. And it seemed like it worked out for you. I mean, I think if you might have had one more caution, or if Steven and Michael had raced each other any harder, and they were racing each other hard, don't you worry. You might have gotten up there and actually had a chance to possibly fight for the win. I mean, how much preparation did you put into this week of Pocono?
Oh, tons. I went through setup after setup after setup till something I found, and it ran some officials, lots of practice runs with the team at the Top Motorsports. I appreciate them and all the help they did given this week. So, it was definitely lots of work, lots of effort put in, because this was a track that I was a little weary about coming into. So glad it somewhat paid off to a good finish here.
Yeah, definitely a really good point stay for you, Chad. I know earlier in the season you seemed like you had a lot of potential. I mean, you were getting a lot of couple victories, and hopefully you're getting back to your winning ways here. 3rd place can hopefully keep the momentum going. How do you like Richmond? That's what's coming up next week.
Richmond's going to be fun. It's going to be, short track, so there's obviously going to be lots of contact. Hopefully not. Hopefully we go green for a while, let it run out. Tires are going to be super important. Managing those will be definitely important. Not a huge fan of short tracks. I tend to struggle there, so I'm going to have to put in some work and really get it dialed in and hopefully come out with another top 3, if not a win, for sure next week.
All righty. Well, thanks for your time, Chad. Who can we give a shout out? I know you already shouted out your team. Anybody else we can shout out for you?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for everything that you guys do. Always put on a great show. Love watching the broadcast afterwards, seeing any mistakes I made or anything I could have done better. It's always a good show. Also to my family for letting me do this. Take a little bit of time away from the family, but they allowed me to do this, so I appreciate them a lot. Obviously appreciate my father for watching these every weekend, week out, watch the broadcast. So I appreciate pretty much everybody at Global as well putting on this great show.
All righty. Well, thank you, Chad, for putting on a good show for us as well, and we'll see you next week at Richmond, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Alrighty, that was Chad McGinley. Next up, of course, is Michael Hayes, standing by with Austin.
Michael, oh man, we thought you had that one won. You had a great battle there with Steven, and y'all kind of worked together to kind of shuffle Austin McGill out, and then he made a mistake and really took his chances away. So I really thought, it was obvious it was just going to be between you two, and I was kind of thinking you were going to come out with the lead there. Can you run me through that last lap? I think you just got a little tight in turn 1.
Yeah, I was starting to get really tight overall through every corner. I was driving it way too hard, but you want to win at the end of these things, so giving it all she's got. But yeah, I knew he had the run in the tunnel turn, and I knew he was going to send it pretty deep to do a slide job, so I let him do that. I kind of went up a little bit higher to get a run off, and then he checked up right off the corner right at the wrong time, and then kind of blocked me a little bit down to the finish line, but almost got it.
Yeah, still absolutely a great finish for you, though. And, I mean, I think you led the most laps of the race by far. So, I mean, absolutely a great showing from you. I've only been able to do the broadcast last 2 weeks, so I haven't had the chance to talk to you. But, you know, a great podium here. You know, whenever maybe the results weren't necessarily going your way. What do you think you found this week that maybe you've been missing the past couple?
Yeah, I mean, I just practiced this track a lot. I knew I didn't know I was this fast here, but I knew I was kind of fast, so I just spent a lot of time practicing, setting qualifying times and all that. So yeah, just more practice definitely helped out a lot more.
Yeah, you aren't kidding about the qualifying pace coming in with the pole. Are there any shout-outs that you'd like to give?
Yeah, shout out to Lone Star. I think we all, looking at the standings now, looks like 4 of us finished in the top 6. I think Justin got wrecked out somewhere along the way on pit road, which kind of sucks. But yeah, shout out to Lone Star, shout out to the league, shout out to you guys for broadcasting it.
Well, thanks for coming up to talk to us, and I hope to see you in victory lane soon, because that was a hell of a battle, and I'd love to see some more winners.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you, Austin.
No problem, man. Have a great one.
You too.
All right, that was Michael Hayes. Next up, we've got the race winner, Stephen Hayes with Brian Britt.
Yeah, what a race there between brothers. I don't know how you guys are going to be feeling it at Thanksgiving, Stephen. I mean, that was a good race, though. I mean, you guys put on quite the show there on the last lap. We had no clue who was going to win the race. And, of course, you qualified, I do believe, on the outside pole. But unfortunately, I do believe you actually had to serve an EOL penalty, which sent you back to 15th or so. And you led only 1 lap of this race, Stephen. I mean, man, that was crazy.
Yep. Yeah, that EOL hurt. This is one of my favorite track to race at. Obviously, I mean, it's just something. It's like a road course feeling track, and I just love racing at this track. But yeah, that EOL hurt, so it took a while to catch back up. I mean, I was just chugging along, tracking everybody down, and coming up to those final laps with Michael. You know, I was contemplating how hard I wanted to run him, because you know I still want him to like me. But then I just decided, you know, I'm in this race as well. I'm fighting for a win. Just send it. So I went for a slide job and made it work. Yeah, I guess we'll see how Thanksgiving goes this year.
That's right. But I mean, he did kind of, I think, get a little tight on turn 1, and that I think that kind of sets you up for you to be able to have that kind of a finish. I mean, you guys were pretty much drag racing through 2 to 3, and it was just awesome, man. It was such a great race, and I don't think he has any reason to go tell mom. So I think you're okay there. But man, Pocono definitely seemed like it worked out well for you. You had a really fast race car. What kind of preparation did you guys put into Lone Star Camp? Because it seemed like you guys came prepared.
Yeah, we did a lot of official races, you know, just trying to tweak in the setups. We were kind of struggling, but the race session for Global was a little different, and it kind of helped our setups today. But yeah, we put in a lot of practice, a lot of hours, and just a lot of teamwork, communication to get through this thing. And you know, DJ starting first race of the season, he did pretty good today. But yeah, it was a lot of practice to prepare for this track.
Well, that's interesting. A little bit of announcement there. DJ Honeycutt, so he's on y'all's team. I know DJ. He's very, very fast, a very consistent driver. So that's definitely a good pickup for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've been hanging out, pretty much best buddies now. But yeah, glad to have him on our team.
100%. Well, man, great job. Congratulations on the victory. I mean, you did it in style, that's for sure. You led only 1 lap of the race. You beat your brother. I mean, man, hopefully, yeah, you might have to buy him a soda or something. Hey, buddy, I'm sorry. As you grab the checkered flag.
Yeah.
But, of course, next week, Richmond, how you going to take this momentum there?
You know, I've been feeling a lot better racing at those short tracks recently. New Hampshire, I finished, I can't remember, but I think it was top 5. But yeah, I'm feeling better at those tracks, so I guess we'll just see how that one goes.
Well, we definitely feel, I mean, you got the momentum going. You've been winning some races here lately. You've been doing really well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you're the points leader. We'll have to see if that continues. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. You've definitely been putting in consistent finishes. Who can we give a shout out to after your exciting big win here today?
Well, I want to shout out Michael. I mean, he put a lot of hard work into this race, and he had a fast car as well. So, just shout out to him getting second. Lucky to be able to race with them every Sunday. Lone Star crew, always fun racing with those guys. You guys up in the booth, man. Love watching these broadcasts. You guys make them interesting.
We try to. I mean, you guys make it. You guys are the real ones that make it interesting. Because I mean, you guys, man, with last laps like that, I mean, yeah, you guys make our jobs pretty easy.
Yeah.
But we appreciate your time, Steven. We'll see you next week at Richmond, brother.
Thank you, Brian.
Alrighty, that was Stephen Hay. And of course, he thrilling last lap there. I mean, man, I think that was the most exciting finish I think we've seen in this series. And tell you what, I'm hungry for more that are like that, Austin. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. That was an amazing race from start to finish. We thought we were going to get the fuel mileage with different tire strategies coming down to the end. That kind of got thrown out the window, and then we just had a no-holds-barged race to the finish, 15-lap dash. We saw a rare mistake out of Austin McGill. We saw some different names up front that we haven't been seeing. Joshua Slade coming from the back to get a P4, coming from the back twice. I mean, unbelievable job from Joshua Slade. Stephen Hayes starting from the back. I mean, I thought the last two races in the series were good, but they were relatively clean and necessarily not the excitement level, but they were good races. This one was, I mean, it was good from start to finish with the absolutely exciting finish of Stephen Hayes there passing his brother on the last corner of the last lap.
100%. We saw heartbreak. We saw victory. I mean, we saw everything. And we saw green flag stops. We saw a caution that came out that really just threw everything out the window. I mean, this race really just had a gift for everybody, really, and it was definitely a fun one to call for sure. Of course, we definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. Of course, tune in next week, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back and at Richmond, and that's going to be another one at the action track. And of course, definitely tune in with us. Of course, usually we have our schedule, but of course we'll definitely be releasing that on our social medias later today. So make sure you keep a lookout for that on the Grid Vision Facebook and Twitter. But with that, I do believe it is time to draw our broadcast to its conclusion. Of course, thank you to you, Austin Edstrom, and of course, Austin Derbyshire. Got the Austins up here in the booth today. But of course, my name is Brian Britt. Of course, also I do want to thank Justin Levine, a co-owner, and Taylor Burris as well for all that they do for the Grid Vision company here. But as I mentioned, my name is Brian Britt. Thank you for watching Global Racing Truck Series on Grid Vision. We'll see you next time.